Today we're going to talk about some lessons I might have learnt about how I wish I viewed relationships earlier in my life. So when it comes to romantic relationships, I think many people, due to the way that we've been brought up, all these Hollywood movies and all these love songs about how there's a soulmate out there and how we just have to find our soulmate, and how there's only one person that is truly going to be the one and is going to be the special person that is meant for you. All that sounds really romantic, but thinking that we need a special person, or that there's only one or a soulmate, that there's going to be someone out there who completes us, it sounds really sweet and romantic in movies, but in real life you really want to avoid this mentality because it's way too much pressure on your partner to make them the centre of your entire world. No one can be your everything. We can't expect one single person to be basically like everyone in the world that we would need. No one person is going to fulfill all these different roles that we would probably want them to fulfill. Esther Perel often talks about how we expect our partner nowadays to be our therapist who always listens to us, to be the perfect lover, to be the perfect parent, to be our best friend, and so forth. Basically to be an entire village for us. And how back in the day we didn't expect that all from our partner because we were much closer to other people in general, to our neighbours and so forth, to the entire village, and that's why we didn't have this expectation of our partner to fulfill all our needs. In fact, it's a very recent thing that relationships had to do anything with romance, that there was any talk about love or romantic love when it comes to relationships. It used to be the case that it just was for economic reasons, that you just had to find someone. And in fact, I think in Mark Manson's book, we all think that, oh, Romeo and Juliet, how romantic, that when that was written, that in that time people found that romantic. But I think he mentioned that that actually was supposed to be a depiction of how stupid love actually makes us, that it's basically like this drug that makes us do really stupid things. And what I also found really interesting is that once I think on his blog also, he once wrote this article on substance abuse or alcohol or something, like a real obsession. And then at the end of the article, so I can't remember exactly, but something like that, he then wrote, okay, basically now look at the article again and just replace this substance with love, and you'll see that it will still make very much sense that basically love, this obsession, is just like alcohol abuse or drug abuse. Now, I'm not saying that I think it's a great thing, a beautiful thing nowadays, that love actually plays a role in relationships, and I think that's a good thing. But nowadays we somehow make it a little too important that our partner has to fulfill our every need, as in that we just put so much pressure on our partner to be perfect for us, to be everything for us, and that tendency I think is dangerous. I think there has to be that a healthy relationship is in the middle of these two extremes. Now, when it comes to thinking that we need a specific person, that we only can be happy with one specific person, when we miss someone that we used to be in a relationship with and we desperately want them back, or also when we fall in love and we really long for someone and we yearn for a relationship with someone. In these moments when we yearn for someone, we make it way too much about the specific person, or that in general we place way too much importance on our future being tied to this one person, that we only can be in love with this one person and that this person is so special and we'll never find anyone like them again. But what we actually need isn't a specific person necessarily. What we actually need is just human connection, to feel appreciated, to feel needed, to love someone and to be loved. And that you can basically actually do with anyone. There are going to be lots of people you won't be attracted to or that aren't necessarily for you. But I think we totally underestimate the amount of people that we could be interested in, especially when we feel brokenhearted and we're laser focused on this one specific person that we actually wanted. And the great part about noticing that what we don't necessarily want is a specific person, but that we just want love and human connection, is that as soon as this person doesn't love us back anymore, the reason why we want to still be together with that person, or that we crave them so much and that we miss them so much, we miss the way they loved us. We miss the way they treated us. We miss the way it used to be when they did have feelings for us. And those were the very things that made us attracted to them and that made us want them. But we have to face reality and notice that this isn't the case anymore. I mean, in some cases, it can be a good idea to get back with your ex if you actually really had something special and the other partner actually also is reconsidering coming back together and it actually could work. I mean, there are cases like that, but in most cases, you're not going to get back together again. Realising that should actually make you aware that there's nothing basically to miss anymore, because the thing that you missed about them, which was the fact that they treated you so well and that they love you, it's basically not the case anymore. So the thing that you missed, it's not as if you could have it again, that if you were together, everything would be normal again. If you were together, what you want isn't the specific person. You want the love that they gave you. And now imagine that you were in a relationship with that person, but they don't love you anymore, and they don't do the things they used to anymore, and they actually treat you badly and wish they were in a relationship with someone else. Would you want that relationship? No, you wouldn't. It's not as much about the specific person as it is about the fact that we just all need and want to be loved. And if they don't want us anymore, then they don't fulfill the criteria anymore of someone you would want a relationship with, or at least they shouldn't. Basically, we should learn to want what wants us back. Matthew Hussey always points out that some people are like, oh, they were so perfect, they were the perfect partner, we were soulmates, but they don't want me back, unfortunately. And Matthew Hussey always emphasises, which I find extremely important, and I'm glad he emphasises this, is that someone wanting you back should be the number one criteria for you wanting to be in a relationship with that person. Simply because you shouldn't want a relationship with someone who doesn't want you back. It wouldn't be nice, even if you were in a relationship with them. You can't control how the other person is going to feel about you, and you can't control whether they're going to love you back again. So basically, your number one criteria for wanting to be in a relationship would be that you want to be loved, that the person treats you in a way that makes you feel loved. And as soon as they wouldn't or won't do that anymore, there's no point wishing that it was that way again. When it comes to the fact that we don't necessarily need a specific person, but what we want and need is validation, love, human connection in general. That's something you can also get from many friends. You can get lots of emotional support from your friends. And I think in general nowadays, there's this huge loneliness epidemic. We really underestimate the importance of friends nowadays, and we overestimate how important one single person should be for us. And we forget that this single person could leave us any time. We forget that love doesn't only exist in the context of romantic relationships. Of course, that's a form of love and a very important one. But there's so many different forms of love. Platonic love you can get from so many different people. Obviously, it's not the same thing. I'm not saying that. But I think if you have many, many friends you are very, very close to, then you're going to definitely be way better off without a relationship than someone who doesn't have all those friends and is without a relationship. What we forget is that what was more important than the specific person was the love that we shared. This whole video isn't only tied to romantic relationships ending. Also, when it comes to friends, sometimes it can also be very hard. And also in those cases we somehow tend to think about how sad we are about having lost that friend. and we forget that we've got so many other friends that are also there for us, that also like us a lot. And we also forget that falling in love isn't something that could only happen with that specific person. It feels like that when we're in love, it feels like that when we miss someone, but falling in love can happen with so many other people as well. And you probably will find someone else sooner or later. And we often forget once we are totally infatuated, and from that point onwards we somehow kind of feel like our life has just started, and we tend to forget that we also had happy moments and lots of joy before we even knew the other person existed. So remind yourself of those times that you were happy without even knowing that other person was out there and even existed. To remind yourself that you will be okay without them as well. And either way, even if you are in a relationship, if you expect too much from your partner because you're expecting them to replace an entire social group, or the friends that you could have but you're not having because you place way too much importance on this one single person who you think will complete you, that will just put so much pressure on the relationship that this relationship might simply end because you haven't got any other people other than that specific person, or that you've kind of distanced yourself a bit from your friends because of all the hormones and always wanting to be together with the person you've fallen in love with. That's why I think it's so important to also strengthen the bonds that you have with your friends, and to actually make an effort when it comes to friendships, even when you are in a relationship. Because friends shouldn't only be a replacement for, okay, I haven't got a relationship now, but I need human connection in general, so I'll get lots of friends. It's also very important to have friends when you are in a relationship, for the relationship to work properly and to actually last for a long time. I mean, obviously there are relationships that will work even if you don't have too many other friends, but it definitely puts a lot of weight off of your partner's shoulder if you don't expect them to be everything for you. But if you expect your partner to be everything for you, the relationship will simply fail, because it's just too much pressure for one single person to handle, to be everyone and everything for you. And what's also really important is to keep in mind that people will disappoint you, and you will also probably disappoint other people as well, simply because we're human and we make mistakes. And we can't control whether they disappoint us or not. We can't prevent other people from disappointing us. Now, what we can do is not have so high expectations so that we're not too disappointed. I mean, it's important to have some boundaries and some standards so that you don't end up in a toxic relationship. But swinging to the other extreme of expecting so much from your partner, expecting them to, for example, read your mind, and then being disappointed when they can't read your mind, which obviously they can't, it's impossible to. But people will also disappoint you in ways that are actually not only because you expected too much. That could also be the case. But it's also going to happen sometimes that someone actually does make a mistake, and it's not that you just had too high expectations and that's why you're disappointed, but simply because everyone has flaws, everyone makes mistakes every now and then. Because we can't control how other people are going to behave, because we can't control whether they're going to disappoint us, at least to make up for the fact that you can't control that, what you can control is that you don't disappoint yourself. And that already is hard enough, because self-discipline and willpower is also a very difficult thing to cultivate. But that's definitely the maximum of what you can control, is that you try to not disappoint yourself as much as possible. So keep the promises that you make to yourself to make up for the fact that other people sometimes won't keep their promises. Other people disappointing you is going to be difficult and painful enough. You don't have to add more disappointment by disappointing yourself as well. So what's really important here is live according to your values so that you at least don't disappoint yourself. Now, if you want to hear more about some lessons I might have learned in my life, now again here, I'm very young, I realise that. No one at any age has everything figured out anyway, and everyone is going to be wrong at some point in their life, so I'm not saying all what I'm saying here is the truth. Many things probably will turn out to be false, maybe, with more life experience, but this is the point at which I am right now, what I think right now, and that might change. But if you want to hear more things that I think I might have learnt about life, you can watch this video here.